This is the Focus Group
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
with Tim Bennett
Pucker up, Buttercup.
and John Nash.
We never give up.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Who knew business talk could be so much fun?
Hey, welcome to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, John Nash. We're all business, except when we're not. We're wearing blue. We're not very pride-loving today, are we? At the end of Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
The
John's
Pride
all prided
leprechauns.
out.
It's like the batteries. Boo.
I want to hear all about Pride because John actually marched in the New York City parade. But
I did indeed.
Before we do that, welcome everybody that's watching us live on Facebook at Focus Group Radio on our Facebook feed or through YouTube, which is also branded Focus Group Radio. You can find out all the other platforms where we're available, both live and on pre-record if you want a time shift and hear the audio or watch the video. Go to focusgroupradio.com and find all the platforms where the show is available. Of course, as we are live, if you'd like to call in, our number's on the bottom, although I think the print's too small. John won't let John or Garrett make it bigger in the booth, the boys in the booth.
Because they understand graphics and standards.
877-962-6846.
Just hold that up for a second.
What?
So that's the
how
size.
big it should be.
You can't even
You can't see it. But it's big,
Tim wrote
big
it
letters.
like
I want to be able
it's
to see
110 point type.
it. My eyes have gotten bad.
It's like a
told you.
freeway sign,
So,
Pittsburgh, next
I know.
right,
so on the show today, you've asked for it, so you're going to get it. An old friend of the Focus Group. He was our pop culture guru at Sirius XM Radio.
Putting the culture back in pop.
Putting the
culture.
pop back in
No,
culture.
culture back in pop.
I always said it
culture.
wrong.
Yeah, well,
Paul Hagen.
and that was the charm.
I know. Paul Hagen is joining us, and so aside from talking about paddling and probably fraternity rituals, which he likes to do.
That was when I was off the show.
Yeah, it was another time we were there. He was always fascinated about the fraternity paddling.
Yeah.
So hey, how did so tell us about your experience this past weekend?
Happy
at,
Pride. So
Pride.
yeah, I marched with Bob's company, my husband's company, PVH, which stands for Phillips Van Heusen. It's the company. It's a huge company, and Bob's part of the Heritage Brands, and that
Were
would
they
be
the holding company for
the holding company for Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Izod, Van Heusen, Aero, a whole bunch of stuff, Speedo. And here we are. So they had their staff photographer there. They provided shirts for everybody. Bob's is decorated, actually. There's little rhinestones.
Who
around
made the shirts? Do you know?
PVH made the shirts.
I was
Distributed.
wondering if they were Calvin Klein or.
Oh no, it was like Anvil or like a standard. One of those things. They had a float, and it was
those
staffed.
Go-Go Boys?
And they were all wearing.
Those aren't employees, are they?
No, they were all wearing Calvin Klein underwear. My favorite's the guy in the blue.
I was going to say, if he's an employee, I got to get a job.
In fact, Bob's picked him. We were marching behind the float, but it was a pretty amazing day. We got there at like 10:30, didn't step off until 1:30, and then I've not walked down Fifth Avenue in a parade before. And at one point,
Oh my gosh.
that's what you would see looking up Fifth Avenue. We were at the top of that coming down, but look at how. I'll just put out there that there might have been more people in New York City's Pride March than the president's inauguration.
There were not more people than the inauguration. We had more people than any inauguration, period.
But we marched. Bob's company is really cool. The people are great. It was a nice mix. It was. These are the team.
What kind of music was
That's
pumping
the
out
team.
of there?
That's Bob's daily work team.
Was there music pumping out of
Oh
there?
my God, they had the best music, and the drag queen that was running the float was hysterical. We are PVH. We'd shout and scream. Lots of fun.
Was it that? It
was
I
that
don't want
crowded.
this to come out the wrong way, but so is this the crowd walking down?
Yeah, that's coming
But
down.
it looks
Fifth Avenue.
unorganized to me. Or is it
Well,
just a mass of people, or what? Or was that part of the parade?
There's the parade, and then there's the police. By the way, had my God,
Barricades everywhere.
the big main streets, 34th, 14th, 23rd. If you look down either direction, they had dump trucks. They had blockades on either end of the. Wow. They had very direct way. You could only cross at certain intersections. The police presence was pretty astounding, actually. I rarely see policemen with those flak jackets on and the assault rifles and stuff, but it was, well, and of course the cops were really friendly, and the ones that were really friendly were getting pictures taken. They're like in the crowd doing their thing.
Did you ever see Billy from the Pilots Association? Like,
Billy,
you guys hook up?
So we stepped off at 1:30. He was only organizing to step off at 3:30 in the afternoon. I am sure he did not finish until 6 or 7, and I got a note from him that he was going to a bar called Gym Bar up on, it's like a sports bar, a gay sports bar up in Chelsea. So that was amazing, and I put up another slide. One of our listeners, Jay in Ohio, sent me a picture from the Chicago Pride, and what's notable about this picture, and John, if you could zoom down to the lower right corner, there are 2 snipers on the roof, and this is part of a security contingent for the Chicago Pride. Now, this was taken by a friend of Jay's who lives in a building that has a look down that way, and I guess he took the picture to take a picture of the parade, but there you have the 2 sniper guys who are like protecting the parade, I suppose. It's kind of an interesting comment on everything nowadays that you have that level of security. But it was a really fun day. The city was extremely festive, and I'll just say it this way. When I got home, I noticed that I had it was hot, so you'd stepping on the tar. So I had tar on my shoes with glitter embedded in the tar. What more do you need to know about Pride, right?
Did you hold hands with your husband?
No.
You don't do the PDA?
No, and Bob doesn't.
I'm with you on that. I just didn't know if you got all of a sudden you were overtaken by the joy,
funny because
by the gayness of it.
And one thing about the PVH thing, Bob's company, as I said, he's with the heritage brands, Arrow, Van Heusen, all these Speedo, Izod. But the drag king would go, "We are Calvin Klein, we are Tommy Hilfiger," and she wouldn't say anything else, and I'd be like, "And the other brands too." That became like a running joke for everybody that we were marching with. So it was good to do it. It was lots of fun.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, no. I would, I guess.
That was an awful long thought.
Well, I've watched it for years. Then we stopped watching. Marching, and it's very different. People are screaming. I mean, everybody's thrilled to see you walk by. It's a really different experience. It really is kind of interesting. And I had a little flag. I had a rainbow flag. Oh. Well, Happy Pride.
Speaking of Billy, it looks like Billy's called in. Hey Billy.
Alive. Billy survived.
Oh, get me a walker, will you?
What time did you step off?
5 after 5.
Oh, my God. Billy, wait. You were supposed to be organizing at 3:30, right?
Yes, and we waited, and finally at 5 after 5, we got moving. But we had the New York Aquatic Boys right behind us with just Speedos on.
Wow.
There's always a silver lining in every cloud, isn't there? We had the New York Roadrunners in front of us. The marathon runners, yeah, they were not bad. And, of course, the float that Bob's company put together had models on it, and they were not high. As Tim always says, it's easy to hire.
It's just as easy to hire pretty as it is ugly.
So did you have a good day, Billy?
We had the Amazon float in front of us, which kind of blocked us having a good view. And behind the Aquatic Boys was the Trojan glitter float, I guess you would call it, which shoot cannons of black glitter over everybody.
Ew.
Trojan, as in the condom company?
Yes. It said protect your wang.
Oh my God!
Or cover your wang.
So how crowded was Fifth Avenue when was it packed?
It was still there was a lot of how will I say lesbian exposure.
Yeah.
Yes. I know what mammary glands look like now.
Well, you're allowed to be topless in New York at any time, women.
Yeah.
New York City.
Well, it doesn't do much for me. Maybe for John.
Well, anyone can appreciate a good rack, right?
Yeah, Billy, it's amazing. We got to the end of the parade route, which was on Hudson and Christopher or something, and they have something called the disbursement area. Literally on the map, it says dispersal area.
Yes, you have 3 blocks to get your butt out of here.
Yeah, and it's like, and they have gates, or they have the railings put up, and we were back home and getting ready to go out to dinner by the time you literally were stepping off for formation. So if we were sitting down to have a bite to eat at 5:45 or something, you were just starting the parade.
We had dinner at 8:30 at Pad Thai, and then we went over to Gym Bar, and it was just miserably crowded. You couldn't move.
Wow.
Because Erin McHugh, who's been on the show, the author, she marched with her college Skidmore, and she said they didn't step off till about 5:30. But it was the first time the college and that she had walked in the parade, so they were excited. But I'm glad you
do it again next year. I hope it's in the morning, and I hope Delta gets its act together and says, "Hey, boys, come join us." We had over 30 in our group. We did really well. We handed out the swag, and we had an aerial drone going, getting footage. We had a grand time.
Well, Billy, I forgot to tell you one thing, and this is a key thing. I think I told Tim this. The Delta contingent was 2 groups in front of us. the whole Delta thing. So we were going to get water at a deli, which was right on the street we marshaled on, and we're walking by the Delta group, and some guy dicks up a microphone. He goes, everybody pay attention. He goes, we at Delta have corporate policies and a behavioral policy that we adhere to. And if you can't behave in this parade, you need to come talk to me on the side here because you might not be able to march.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I would love to know.
We have corporate standards.
Corporate standards. I'd love to know what the Delta people were doing that they had to worry about.
Well, you can imagine.
You know.
Well, we were sponsored by Piedmont, which is a subsidiary of American Airlines, and they couldn't have been better. I mean, we might have been smaller, but we had some good people and good times.
And a drone.
And a drone, that's right. We got drone footage. Even the cops looked at it like, what the hell is this?
That is so cool. Did you post it anywhere?
I'll have to try to get it through the group. I can post it on Facebook.
I would love to check it out. Well, Billy, thank you for calling, and a belated Happy Pride as we pack the Pride leprechaun away and take the batteries out. Ooh, Happy Pride.
All right, I'll stay focused on you guys today.
Thank you, Billy.
So, John, what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
All right, from Jay in Ohio. It's a very quick one, folks. And the headline reads, Swiss cafe to serve lattes and blowjobs. And John in the booth does a fist pump.
Swiss cafe.
You know, boys, prostitution is legal in Switzerland.
I didn't know that.
FYI. Yes, it's a very heavily regulated industry. So here's the deal.
Well, wait. Is that it there?
No, well, that's just a generic picture of a guy at a bar.
A latte?
But he is having a latte, and she does look a little, well, that's terrible of me to say, but...
You're profiling.
Profiling, I know, how horrible. Okay, so a soon-to-open cafe in Geneva will serve coffee and a side of oral sex, reports a paper called The Local Switzerland. Put simply, the business model would see men ordering a coffee and using an iPad, you select a prostitute of your choice to perform oral sex on them. They would then sit at the bar, which has been specially designed to accommodate this activity. The coffee blowjob packages are priced at 60 francs. That's about $62.
Well, wait a minute. You're having your coffee at the bar. Is she coming underneath?
Yeah, that's all.
So as you're sitting there, she's undoing you. And
yeah. You might undo yourself, but basically,
I want her to undo it if I'm paying.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, the planned concept has proved controversial, with anti-prostitution groups arguing that it would effectively legalize pimping. While prostitution is legal in Switzerland and has been since 1942. Talk about progressive. 42, right?
What else does that country have to do?
I know. It is tightly regulated and workers must be properly permitted. The debate over legal sex work aside, the idea of ordering a human via tablet is more like a little troubling, but I don't know. It's just a picture of someone. Meanwhile, the U.S. has something called bikini baristas. Did you know about this? All over the Pacific Northwest, there's a chain called Java Jugs.
I haven't seen that. I know there's a topless donut shop in Maine I used to have to take the Japanese to, but...
The owner of one chain, Java Jugs, he was arrested in 2003 for operating her coffee stand as a brothel.
Java Jugs?
Java Jugs, yeah. So,
there you go. Don't like coffee?
No, but I guess you could go... You know, that's a good question. Could I go to the Geneva coffee house and order tea?
Right. A watch, chocolates.
Is it cheaper? Is tea or iced tea, like, is it €50 and then you get it, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, blowjobs and lattes. Thank you, Jay in Ohio, for that. But Jay sent the picture of the sniper or the protecting guys on the roof for Pride, and he also sent me this one. I was like, nice thank picture. You, Jay.
Mine is a little bit close to home, only because I used to work in the business. But the headline is, Model Sues Hyundai, claiming she was fired for having her period at the New York Auto Show. So the New York Auto Show was just this past April. And this woman, Rachel Rickhart, claims that she was fired from her job. So she said it was a lucrative gig at the New York Auto Show. For the 10 days, she'd have made about $5,000. So these are product specialists, and they usually get dressed by the brand. That's a cheese shot if you're watching on the video that I always love about how some of the brands, particularly the Asian brands, I'll stereotype, really do the kitty cat outfits on the girls. But when I worked at Subaru, I used to make a point of not dressing the people to look slutty or, making them be very, very appropriate. But her talent rep, Erica, told her on the 15th that she was being dismissed because Hyundai heard that she was having her menstrual cycle and didn't want her representing the company anymore on the floor. So she had said that on April 13th, she worked for 3 hours greeting guests at the Hyundai booth in New York before she was allowed to take a bathroom break. She said she didn't make it to the restroom in time to change a tampon, and she soiled her black dress and tights.
But the dress is black. Okay, all right.
So she said, I need a change of clothing, and I need to have some time to go clean up. And the agent said to her, well, why don't you just take the rest of the night off and get yourself taken care of, and then we'll see you in the morning. And then she said in the morning she got a phone call saying that her services were no longer needed. And they told her that because she was menstruating, that they didn't want her on the floor of the auto show. So she sued Hyundai. She said she'd done over 50 shows for the brand. And she said, they're acting like I'm not human. I'm not going to be ashamed or be ashamed for the fact that I had my period. I'm not a robot. And I have to use the bathroom, especially when you have your period. And the fact that they wouldn't let me use the bathroom is their fault, not mine. So she's filed a federal discrimination lawsuit from the with the EEOC. It was filed in Manhattan against Hyundai and her management agency, Experiential Talent. And
wow.
Hyundai says they've heard about the complaint, they take it seriously, but other than hearing about it, they don't know what else has transpired.
That's how seriously they're taking it, right?
I remember I got in trouble I hired a woman that was pregnant as a product specialist because I thought, you're selling cars to women. A lot of women make decisions about cars and family. And I got in so much trouble for hiring a pregnant woman because they said, how dare you have a pregnant woman representing the brand on the floor? And then I also hired a person who was deaf, sign language. And I remember getting gruff for that as well because the brands wanted to have a very specific type of person that they felt should be representing the brand. I always felt the people that represent the brand should represent the customer.
That reminds me, didn't they used to do these in classic garage, the calendars, the pinup girls and everything? Yeah, it was the wrench calendar or whatever the product was, but it had nothing to do with the product. It was always the girl holding the product, right?
So speaking of fashion, it's funny how these things all collide. Our business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
Her birthday was yesterday, June 27th. I can't believe she's 68 years old. Vera Wang.
Vera Wang.
She's born in New York City. She has a degree from Sarah Lawrence. She tried out for the U.S. Olympic team for figure skating in 1968, and she didn't make it. So she didn't make the team, so she immediately turned to fashion. She was hired by Vogue. She was the youngest editor in the history of Vogue. She stayed there for 17 years. She left in 1987 and went to work for Ralph Lauren. And then she left after 2 years at 40 and became an independent bridal designer. So she had her own bridal wear design company. She's dressed public figures, well-known people like Chelsea Clinton, Karina Gore, Ivanka Trump, Campbell Brown, Alicia Keys, Mariah Carey, Victoria Beckham, on and on and on. And Michelle Obama also would wear her. That's a nice picture of Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, would wear her clothing a lot for state functions. And from Vera Wang. So she also has expanded now to have home goods, china, crystal, jewelry, eyewear, shoes, fragrance. And has relationships with Kohl's and the Men's Warehouse and David's Bridal. She's like Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
And they say she loves sports and exercise. She's a sports fanatic. She said if there's a tennis match going on, it's usually on the TV. But she will not take phone calls during the day. She's like you, John. She likes to be extremely flexible and make herself available for everybody, but she usually won't take a call during the day.
That is so like me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm flexible.
Here you are again. Meanwhile, she also sleeps 7-8 hours a day.
Oh, I don't do that.
Well, at night. You sleep that long.
7, if I'm lucky. Yeah.
She said she believes sleep can make you more energetic.
And she's right about that.
She said, I don't think Picasso woke up at 5 to go farming. Happy birthday, Vera Wang.
It's a good business birthday. I like that one.
Then, of course, as many of you know, one of our most loyal supporters here has been a Deep Discount. And this is the final couple of days of their June site-wide sale. So if you go to focusgroupradio.com, you have to do it before Friday. which will be, I think, is it July 1st
30th,
already?
Saturday,
Canada Day.
Saturday will be the first.
And but there's a site-wide sale going on, tons of stuff at great prices. That's why it's called deep discount. There's
That's why it's called.
watch what you want to watch when you want to watch it.
That's Tim's.
And so if you go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the logo and start looking away. One of the things I loved, and John, it was funny. John did not know of this. So a lot of you know that we're both fans of I Love Lucy, but at the end of the I Love Lucy season that you can watch on, so the Hallmark Channel has on. They have 6 episodes
Uncut,
on a
right?
day.
They're the originals, or are they
the originals? But they go up to the 30-minute episodes, and what's known as season 7, 8, and 9, which was 1957 and 1960, they did 13 one-hour episodes with famous people such as Tallulah Bankhead, Fred McMurray, Red Skelton.
This is the Connecticut years, right?
This is the Connecticut years. So remember, Westport is still Fred and Ethel and Ricky and Lucy. And you can get
that is you put for Deep Discount has the
they have the 7th, which is very hard to find, the 7th, 8th, and 9th seasons, which are it's 13 one-hour episodes, and they have all of these stars. They relied heavily on stars at that point because Lucy and Desi were not getting along.
I mean, this is like divorce time.
This is divorce time. In fact, the very last episode, which is entitled Lucy Meets the Mustache with Ernie Kovacs, there's a scene, if you watch it, it's kind of creepy, where she kisses Ricky in the very final scene of the I Love Lucy series. And literally, they said, Vivian Vance said she walked off stage, got divorce papers, and handed it to him. And that was the last they ever worked together.
Whoa.
And but it's funny if you watch those knowing what's going on.
So this is the 7th, 8th, and 9th
seasons, they call it, but it's 13 one-hour episodes. The price there is unbelievable. I've never seen it this low anywhere before. I can't read it from here. What it says, like $12. But the other cool thing about Tallulah Bankhead,
$12.58.
Right.
And if you find a coupon on Deep Discount with free shipping,
so
whatever.
you have to get it. Tallulah Bankhead was also on one of the episodes, and they said she was shit-faced drunk the whole time. But when you watch it, you really can't tell unless you know that they said she was on. She never showed up for rehearsal. Nothing. All of a sudden, they said she was drunk. They didn't know what was going to happen, but she was brilliant in it. So anyway, that's what I found. What did you?
That's a great find. And by the way, if you're going to look on Deep Discount, they have tons of variety ways of getting the Lucy series. I wanted to wrap up. Happy Pride Month with one last movie that was an independent film that Bob and I watched. It's sort of charming. The guys are well cast. They're handsome. And it's a movie called Latter Days, Latter. And it's about a Mormon missionary who moves into an apartment in West Hollywood and meets his one of the apartment or the building, another guy in the building in the laundry room, and they actually end up getting together and they have a romance. And there's a lot of, and it involves the Mormon, like.
Is it an older movie?
Latter Days came out, I want to say, hey, John, could you zoom in on the release date for Latter Days?
2004.
Oh, 2004, yeah. So it's an independent film, cute film, but as gay movies go, or I should say gay-themed, LGBT-themed movies go, I thought it was well done, and it was one of those films that Bob and I saw, and we're like, okay, you know.
Why are there so many gay Mormons?
God, maybe it's because of the outfits they have to wear. So what is this week's release?
I believe it's is it the Rockford Files?
Yeah. So I was so excited.
I never watched.
Okay, so if anybody,
I'm too late.
Okay, so Jim Rockford lived in a trailer in Malibu at the beach. And so I went on. I was gonna get the theme song and play because my mom loved the Rockford Files. Oh, we had to watch the Rockford Files all the time, and I loved it too. It was an hour long. You know, he was a gritty detective. The truth mattered. He was poor as a church mouse. Never collected bills, and the show always began with his answering machine picking up a call, and then it would go into the theme song. So some guy on YouTube took the entire season, like first, second, and he created a movie of each season's messages to to Rockford. Jim Garner played Rockford. So, John, this is a clip. So, you didn't watch any of this stuff?
No.
Here? Okay, so we'll just play one or a couple of these little message things.
This is Jim Rockford. At the tone, leave your name and message. I'll get back to you. Jim, it's Norma at the market. It bounced. You want us to tear it up, send it back, or put it with the other?
Hey, Jim, this is Louie down at the fish market. You gonna pick up these halibut or what?
Ew.
Hey, Rockford, very funny. I ain't laughing. You're gonna get yours.
It's Maury. Got a call from Davis at the IRS. You were right. They bounced your return. Call me.
It's Lori at the trailer park. A space opened up. Do you want me to save it, or the cop's gonna let you stay where you are?
You really want Jim with a 7? Come on, that neck.
So this is how every show opened?
Pickup truck. Call me. You really want Jim with a 7? Come on, that neck couldn't go a mile in the back of a pickup truck. Call me.
It's Andrew. Remember last summer at Pat's? I've got a 12-hour layover before I go to Chicago. How about it?
All right, we got the gist. But then you saw a little bit of it. Then it went ba-da-dum-bum. Then it would go into the theme song. I guess I never realized that there was a different message on the machine every single week, and it was all. And if you strung them all together, you got an idea that he was bouncing checks, wasn't paying his bills. Fish was left somewhere, and some stewardess was in town for a layover and wanted to get laid.
It's like the whole Murphy Brown bit where she had a different secretary
every week, right?
Yeah.
So it's 6,120 minutes of Jim Rockford, and I highly recommend that. It's available at deep discount.
Cool.
So, deepdiscount.com, find their logo on our page at Focus Group Radio, click on through, and start going down the rabbit hole like I do every week. And Garrett, we forgot that we didn't do that on our other one, but Garrett.
Thanks, Deep Discount.
Oh. What's coming up now?
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to look at in honor of the upcoming Tour de France, which starts on Saturday, if you're a cycling fan, and I don't think anybody in the studio is. I'm being looked at with
I don't think anyone in the country is.
Blank faces. Like, who? That you ride these things to race? We're going to play a little video that I like. VW sponsors USA Cycling, and it's I like hearing the people talk about their passion for riding bikes. And we do that because we're setting up the studio for Paul Hagen, the incomparable Paul Hagen, editor-in-chief of Metrosource Magazine and famous focus group friend. We'll be right back after this break.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more.
Cycling is such a team sport in that there's team tactics, and it takes a team to win a race.
The dynamic during a road race in a big peloton of riders really changes a lot from moment to moment.
In order to set the leader up so that they can rest, we're trying to force other teams to chase. The sport of cycling is a team sport, and so there's a lot of tactics that are involved.
They pace you back up, they pace you off the front of the peloton, they protect you from the wind, and they also give you a lot of moral support and team camaraderie. They're not just my teammates and my coworkers, but they're my friends and the people who I'm with all year.
You have to have a cohesive team that you've bonded with both on and off the bike. It ends up being part of what your family is as well.
Knowing that the team car is behind me, it has my back, and it's with us at all times gives me a lot of confidence.
The director is usually driving the car as well as the mechanic.
Letting us know where we're going, how we're going to get there, and what's going to arise when we come around the next corner.
The bike gives me a sense of freedom.
I love the air in my face, I love the adventure it brings, and I love the challenge to push myself and find out what I'm capable of.
I think that pushing your body to your own limits, there's nothing better.
At the end of the day, it's something you have to put your heart and soul into in order to be successful.
You get tired and you're thinking about how hard it is, but then you kind of remind yourself, you get to race your bike every day, and you get to go out there and do something you love every day, and not many people get that opportunity.
Now, back to the focus group with Tim and John.
Glamour today is nothing but a tight skirt, loose hips, and wet lips.
An entertaining look at the world of business.
Make it work. Make it work. Make it work.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett, as always, with my good friend and co-host, John Nash. We're all business except when we're not. Look who's sitting next to John. It's a member of our focus group family.
Can I be a product specialist?
You be a product specialist. The indefatigable Paul Hagen.
Ooh, well said.
A good adjective.
How are you? So, for many of you remember from our old platform that Paul used to put the pop in culture.
No, the culture back in.
I still say it wrong.
And by the way, that was always the mistake that got made, right?
Well,
don't go changing, babe. Don't go changing.
So anyway, we couldn't think of a better way to finish off Pride Month than to have Paul join us and spend some time with us. So for the remainder of the show, we're going to talk to Paul and we're going to catch up. We're going to find out what's going on and what's happening in his life and just see where it lands. John says we can't talk about paddling or anything.
Oh my gosh!
Because it's been
censored already.
It's an exhausted topic.
Well, if it's done right.
So, Paul, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
In our new format. So you always were dressed, for people that could never see Paul on the radio, he always wore a tie, right? Whenever you come
I
to
would
see
dress in candy colors and accessories, and you guys would be like, you know, there's no camera in the studio,
but performance comes from There's a candy-colored clown they call the Sandman. Whispers. Yeah.
What is that from?
Blue Velvet. I think Dean Stan. Well, it's an actual song, but Dean Stan sang it.
Yes.
Is that the one with Shirley Temple?
No. Well,
no, you're talking about
wildly racist.
You're talking about the horse movie,
Blue Velvet.
Oh, Blue Velvet. I'm thinking of what is it? David Lynch's?
Yes, exactly.
What was I thinking of?
So much Velvet. Oh, National Velvet.
That's what
Velvet.
Oh, same thing.
And here we are going right off the rails.
Right into the horses.
So, you're still with Metrosource Magazine. So, do you want to, for people that don't know you, want to give us a quick little?
I will spiel you. We are the nation's second largest LGBT publication, largest in New York and LA, and we are proudly under new management at Davler Media, which
under new management,
which has led us to some exciting new developments. We have a great new newsletter which comes out weekly.
I like it.
Metro Espresso, so all the coffee puns we can fit. We've got fun events. We point people to fabulous little bits of the magazine they can read online. And then every week, and I was thinking we should have you guys on, we do like a minute-long video where we ask a quick, kind of sexy, fun question.
That'd be fun.
Of someone we love. And that's sort of like the grand finale.
We would love that.
We'd love to have
With my
you.
luck, I'll be invited in. And they'll sit me down, and they're going to say, "Do you enjoy women's lingerie, or do you enjoy wearing women's lingerie?" And I'll be like gobsmacked. Or
What's your favorite football team?
Love to answer that.
I have a good answer for that.
Which one?
I always go with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's not football, though.
It's baseball. So I go with Steelers. I go with Steelers for like Garrett and John.
The straight boys in the booth are laughing.
Guys have been caught out. It's just, I try.
You do caught out before.
Are the Penguins the hockey team? Okay, so I know I at least know that
Pirates baseball, Steelers football,
and they used to play in Three River Stadium.
Oh, there you go. It's good with that. They got bridges around there with an incline.
Sounds like Venice.
All right, so.
Anyway, so yes, I spent Pride handing out gift bags and copies of the magazine, and we had lots of people come and sign up for the newsletter, which you can sign up for at metrosource.com/subscribe. And we had people eligible for all sorts of fun prizes from our advertisers, and it's a great kind of exciting new environment. You know, we were a small crew as an independent publication, and now as part of a larger family of publications, there's people we can talk to about all the little strategies, what makes a newsletter more
Would we know some of the other
openable.
publications?
If you are familiar with New York City's fine tourist publications, we have City Guide. We do New York Metro Parents, which is a family of parenting magazines, one for each borough. And there's a few other titles. Mitzvah Market, if you're looking to throw a bar about mitzvah for a loved one.
Mitzvah Market?
Yeah.
Mitzvah. Well, mitzvah is a good thing.
Of course.
Mitzvah.
And it's when you become a man or a woman.
Yeah.
So who came up with the name Metroespresso?
Metro Espresso was a collaboration between myself and my web editor, Kevin Finney, and we were throwing out names. As you can imagine, we were just brainstorming away. And he was like, I think I have it. It's Metro, and I think we were like cappuccino. We were somewhere in the coffee shop, and we finally we liked the flow, the espresso,
the alliteration.
We had an X right in the middle, sort of X Factor style. But then I was designing the logo, and I was like, oh, I just can't put a big X in the middle of my logo. I feel like a porn company, so we didn't do that. But we do.
So we didn't do that.
Many coffee puns. In fact, we had been calling the leap to the magazine feature nibbles, like you go to the shop, you get your little nibbles, and instead, I think we're going to be calling it cool beans, which, as you know, is one of my favorite expressions.
Yes, you use that quite frequently.
Speaking of old friends of the show, we've got a call for you, Paul.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, we've got a call for you, Paul.
And
from
as,
Paul.
as Garrett put it up on the board, I gotta talk to my buddy Paul.
It's
Thank
Paul
you,
and
Garrett.
Mass.
Hello.
Hello, my darling.
Happy Pride. Now, Paul, I have to say, thank you so much for finally showing up on this tiny little podcast and making John Nett look like a butch top for Pride. Fabulous.
I'm so glad to finally be here. And it just so happens our new offices are right around the corner. So
Paul, thank you for showing up on...
And did you coordinate the fashion? Because your tie matches John's shirt.
Yeah, there is a strange... Yeah.
And the suspenders match mine, I think.
Yes. We're going to be doing a wonderful...
The print. I mean, it brings back memories of my grandmother. She had that print on her bed skirt.
She was way ahead of her time, darling.
It brings back, on this tiny little podcast, memories of my grandmother's bed skirt.
And congratulations to you, Paul, on all your magical ceramic work which you've been doing, which I'm just gobsmacked over on Facebook.
I want one of the birdhouses.
I want the pendants.
What with the birdhouses?
He's making pottery.
It's my home studio.
Oh, amazing.
I'll be cranking out more. I just wanted to say hi and happy Pride, and I love all of you. And even John and Garrett, they're kind of fun in the booth. I like that.
Guys, that's a vote of approval. But birdhouses, are they ceramic?
Yeah, you had a little were they ornaments or they were more? How would you describe them, Paul?
The large ones are about 18 inches by 6.5 in diameter. Or across. What's that across? I never get that. Diagonal. Across, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's gorgeous.
No, and then the ones you're talking about, Tim, I do little birdhouse pendants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what they were.
Yeah, like Pandora or whatever.
So here's my takeaway. All that incredible energy that Paul used to put into his blog, which we all benefited from every morning.
Which I miss.
I miss terribly. My routine was so shattered. If there was days and days, I'm like, what am I going to do? I normally checked in with paulmass.tumblr.com. All that fantastic energy is going into all this creativity with the ceramics. Right.
It's amazing. It's like the British pottery throwdown, but right here in the United States.
Well, thank you.
All right, you've got a show to do, and I'll let you go.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. We got a little podcast to keep rolling here.
Oh yes, that is.
Tim, hit the playing record button again.
Talk radio.
So do you like the new offices and the new environment, and you're around other people who are publishing magazines.
Well, and more importantly, publishing like multimedia platforms. Web was always something that kind of. We had trouble matching the audience outreach in the same way. We had a really great, robust, dependable print outreach. And in terms of social media, in terms of web, we really wanted to create a product of equal value. So we just relaunched the website. We scurried, and got it up in time for Pride. We're still going to be unrolling new features. But like we have a whole new event section where people can, just come in if you have an LGBT-friendly event, especially in the New York area, was where we're focusing first, but anywhere in the country or the world. And you can go ahead and submit your event, and we can post it up for you. We have a gay voices section where we're encouraging people to come and...
Hello!
I'm expecting an essay from Tim Bennett.
Literally, someone calls in.
Hello!
Hello! Yeah.
Hi, Frisco!
But Tim could...
Gay voices.
Tim could log in and give a little what it was like to be a gay frat boy, because it's my favorite subject.
Oh, yeah, well, yes. And actually, Tim said, he goes, that would, because I said I heard all about that paddling. It was the 2 times I was in France once and on a charity bike ride. I remember on the plane home from France. Someone had sent me the MP3, and I'm like, Bob, plug your. So we had the laptop out. We're having some champagne because that's what they do on Air France.
do. Out of a plastic cup.
And we
peanuts.
start listening, and we are like, oh my. And Bob goes, it's already off the rails. And it was like 2 seconds into the broadcast. It was moments. It's like, oh my God.
But it was great fun. We shall have to abscond with the broadcast again one time.
So how do you discern between? You say it's L.A. and New York. Are there two different editions?
There's 3 editions, and they're common up to about page 64 in any given issue, and that's where we do all the features and the health and reviews of movies and books that would be of interest to the LGBT community. And then when you get to that magic breaking point in New York and L.A., the version that's distributed free in bars and restaurants and lawyers' offices and doctors' offices, you get New York and LA local restaurants, theater events,
directory guide and business directory.
And LGBT friendly businesses, which is, increased. I mean, I found a therapist in Metrosource. I found a dentist in Metrosource.
What did you find a therapist for?
Oh, I was feeling really low energy. And, no, just something I decided to try.
I'll save you some money. It all goes back to your mom and dad. I'll save you some money.
No,
no matter what you do. When I went into individual therapy, I had some very specific thoughts about what I wanted to work on, but within weeks it was all right back at mom and dad and family, and you're like, okay.
I bet you were tough in group. Did you do group therapy?
I ended up transitioning to group, and no, I actually wasn't that.
Probably
tough.
chattered too much.
No. I was actually. I'll tell you a group story.
Oh.
So one day we're in group, and one of the guys in my group, every 2 weeks he was falling in love, and that person was going to be the person for the rest of their life. They went on They went on the cyclone at Coney Island. They're in love. They went up to Rye Playland. They ran the teacups. Were in love. I mean, and this was literally
Love Playland.
That's some carnival love right there.
Every 2 weeks. So one day he talks about, he comes in and he's in love, and it's going to be, this is the guy. This is it. And everybody in the group was like, oh my God, we're so happy for you. I'm the only one who doesn't say a word. Zip. And finally, he looks right at me, and no one else is saying. He goes, "What do you think?"
Oh.
And I said, "I'm really happy for you." He goes, "You are not happy for me." And I said, "Well, do you really want to?" I said, "No, I don't. I am happy." And then everybody's staring at me, and Terry goes down. No, you need to tell us what you really think.
Yeah, put your Palm Pilot down. And
no, I didn't know. No, that was all not allowed. And we're on these like kind of modular chairs, very 2001 or Star Trek kind of thing, And I said, well, what I really think is, I said that if you fall in love every 2 weeks, I said, then I looked at my watch. I said, this guy's got about 10 days before he's hitting the exit. And the other guy stands up. He goes, you are the nastiest. You have no feelings. You're no feelings. And I'm like, I have feelings.
I mean, I think that's the
you
type
paid
of
for
thing
this.
you go to if you've committed a crime,
yeah.
and you're sentenced to go to this.
So here's the kicker. So the therapist looks at this guy and he says, are you on your meds?
Oh.
And the guy says, no, I've been feeling great for weeks. I'm off those stupid pills. And he goes, we're doing an individual session tomorrow after this. He goes, let's move on.
Well,
turns out that didn't last. I was right. It was 2 weeks later. That guy was flushed out the door.
Let's hope for the best for her wherever she is now.
Jeez.
She's in real estate.
Don't they all
end up in real estate?
Worst movie ever done.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he saw the first.
Are you telling me that Kevin Spacey wanting to have sexual relations with a young woman is not believable? Girl, what do you talk?
All right.
So are you getting married?
I am eventually going to get married in September. We will have been engaged 2 years. So I think we had our eye on a venue with a carousel in it in Dumbo, Jane's Carousel.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You're going to be doing a big wedding?
The pictures,
it's this glass enclosed.
Well, it's so marvelous. And then you get down, you're reading the fine print, and it's like, the nearest public facilities are 2 blocks away. That is the only bathroom. It's like, oh, let's send grandma in her colostomy bag to go do that. So
over cobblestone. stones.
But like it's stuck in my brain.
Get a
and
slice on your way.
My mom's calling and being like, I found a winery where they make sacramental wine, and we took this to Margaret, and they do weddings. I'm like, I don't think they want my wedding business, Mom.
Sacramental wine.
But in the meantime, Justin found a place in Bear Mountain that also has a carousel, and like you have
What's
one
the
of those,
carousel thing?
I don't know, but like
Whoa,
one of
Bear
those
Mountain
things.
State Park.
Yeah.
And there's an inn, and it has.
It is okay.
Yeah.
Just as an FYI, Bear Mountain is a 4-mile climb to the top of the mountain. It's a beautiful. There's a stone tower at the top. At the bottom, there's a suspension bridge that goes across towards the Taconic, and there's an enormous national park style building, the logs and the roof, and there's an enclosed carousel. It's a huge complex. People take kids there. It's a beautiful park. It's about, like an hour, 50 minutes out of Manhattan,
I'm
up the
hoping
Palisades
it's just
Parkway.
close enough that people will want to come who we want to come, and just far enough from New Jersey that people who
don't
rather say no will just
I think you're actually right. So there's a way to you could take a train up to Cold Spring
Right.
and take an Uber over. It's just below the West Point.
Right, it's right there.
It's spectacular. It's a cool
So we
area.
have to go look at it and make sure
It's a great
that
carousel.
It's,
It's a great carousel.
But yeah, something about carousel, like the universe, like the finale of Call the Midwife had a wedding in a carousel, and I started lunching at
You just want the lights, the color, the calliope. You want the calliope.
I want it all to myself.
And I want the brass ring. Give me the fucking
You don't want to
brass
just go
ring.
away and elope. Easy.
We've thought about it, honestly, but what happened was when I was younger, I couldn't have imagined, especially certain members of my family being so supportive. And my cousin got married last year, great wedding. And then we were all sitting around at Christmas looking at my aunt's semi-pornographic Christmas plates, long story, and enjoying them.
I wonder
And
what
I
a
was like,
semi-pornographic rib.
what a wonderful wedding you had, you guys. You were so gorgeous. And my cousin Christopher goes, oh, but it's your wedding that I'm waiting for. We are going to really
Now,
do
see,
it
when
up.
someone puts that marker on the table,
It's like, oh, rise to that occasion, why don't we?
see, we were
ignored it all.
We were City Hall. Bob wanted so below the radar that we went to get the license. Then we went to see my niece graduate last year in May from Embry-Riddle out in Prescott. Then we realized the license was going to run out, and Bob's like, I don't want to spend another $25 on a license. And then we shuffled around, and we found a Friday, and then we couldn't figure out who was going to be the witness. So great. He goes to see our dentist, and my old business partner's there, who I went to college with, Greg, and I love Greg. And Bob goes, what about Greg? Because Greg was there from the start. Like, he met Bob right at the start. And I'm like, perfect, done. Show up at City Hall. It was a festive day. It took about an hour to get into the chapel. There's just the three of us. And she's like, this is just three of you? Because the party before us had a dress, the flowers,
they'll come on
whole
mass.
kids on tuxedos. And then it was done in like 5 minutes, and they mail you the certificate. And then we went to the Odeon for some champagne and lunch.
Great
and that was that.
You didn't wear a gown with train, John? I actually cannot tell you how many people have, the second I go, I'm married, they're like, are you going to dress in drag? I'm like, I do that like on the weekends for fun, right? That's not like what I do with my life. I don't have a Vera Wang in the closet waiting and like, please, I need two, and I need them like tied together in the back.
No, but and we waited for a week before we really, and I think that one of my sisters might have figured it out from social media before I actually had to drop and say, okay, here's what we did, and it was there was a bit of a ruffle, like, why didn't you do it the big way? And then my mom was like, I get it. We've been together 30 years.
But you were going to have a picnic or something, which you never did.
We wanted to have a little get together.
You may yet, darling. You could do it for an anniversary.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Any occasion to invite me.
Truthfully, that was Bob's way of putting it down the line. Like, don't worry, we're going to have a big dinner or a party. Oh, great, keep us informed.
Yeah.
9 months later, everybody forgets you're
We knew that
married.
if we said, oh, we'll just get married now and then get back to it, we would not get back to it, and it would be like 5 years later, and
Yeah, but there's always anniversary. Hey, do you want to do a quick break and then come back?
Yeah, we'll come back and see what's on your radar.
All right, so joining us, if you haven't figured it out, is the incomparable, indefatigable. We practiced in front of a mirror. Indefatigable. Paul Hagen. He's going to stay with us. We're going to take a really quick break to look at a little VW announcement, and we'll be right back with Paul.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
And in business a week, I got more money and I know what to do with.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
Herrera Rocher. He is doing well.
Especially because of the app.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here. It is the Focus Group. Be sure to join us every week right here live at Facebook. FocusGroupRadio.com. It's not Facebook.com. What is it?
Yeah. Facebook.com/focus.
John put his hands up.
Indefatigable.
Anyway.
Indefatigable.
We were off track during the break, but anyway, it's FocusGroupRadio.com to find all the platforms of choice, whether it's audio or video. And if you're listening to us live or watching us live right now, we appreciate it either on our YouTube channel or through Facebook Live. We have Paul Hagen joining us from Metrosource Magazine, and we were.
Do you know where I think he went when he forgot about Facebook? I think his mind was drifting back to days of paddling yore.
Well, we were talking about
you can't do that anymore.
Rambo-like gentleman.
Ooh, I can't imagine a lot of people would go to jail.
Allegedly.
All right, so you were
before we
mashups, right?
No. I want to do something else first.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't get to it in the first part, but you were reading. You just finished the David Sedaris diary.
I did.
Tell us about.
Well, okay. So
what is that?
Okay. So David Sedaris, I think a lot of you probably know, the great American essayist of our time.
I think he's hysterical.
He's so funny.
Tim,
a bad interview, right? Everybody says in person he's difficult. Not as funny as his writing.
He is not as interested in presenting always a public persona of the same kind of intense, wry wit as his essays, which a lot of work goes into. But like when he reads and when he does one-on-one in signings, I've heard him read. I've never encountered him one-on-one in signings, but he's supposed to be like very interested in you in the way that certain authors are like, next.
So,
all right.
So just to backtrack for a second, that was a fascinating way you said that, where he's not as interested in presenting a public persona as wry and as ironic or witty as his writing is. And I think that speaks to the fact that authors work very hard at that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how they are one-to-one. Like you could read Me Talk Pretty one day and think everything that comes out of David Sedaris' mouth is going to make me laugh out loud.
Well, and it's
but
Amy
he
is
works
his
at
sister,
that.
and
Right.
and I think people expect
Amy Sedaris.
David to be Amy because his writing is similarly like
Fandango.
I'm gonna get that pinky out.
Strangers with Candy. Fandango.
But that said, he's a fascinating interview and a fascinating writer. And when I did my my editor's letter after having read the book, I kind of talked about how over the course of knowing him through his writing, we've really shared a lot of intimacy. And there were periods where he kind of wandered away from essay, and I was like, no, I need more essay. I need to know about you and growing up and your life with your partner, because this is what I need, because it's like crack to me. It's crack to me. So lo and behold, in the middle of all of this, I'm always wanting more and wanting more, he decides to issue not one, but 2 volumes of his diary. The first one is 1977 to 2002, and that's the one I just finished. The next volume, Theft by Finding, which is a term. Apparently, it's in Britain at least. I don't know if they have it here. But if you just pick something up and you don't actively seek out
that's theft by finding.
Right, and so he's like, that's the perfect metaphor for what I do with my life.
Theft by finding. All of us who curate stories.
Well, and I actually talked about it in my editor's letter too. When I found out what a intense diarist he is, I was like, oh, I kind of thought the stories just kind of just poured out of him like magic and brilliant.
So really, he keeps a daily diary.
He logs every interesting person he comes across.
Handwritten.
Strange bodily. I think it started handwritten. I'm not sure if it's still handwritten because he then had to go through the process of transcribing.
Yeah.
But it's a honker. It's so, if you like a warm bubble bath, you will come out wrinkled from this bubble bath.
And this is only volume 1.
This is only volume 1. The next volume is I think it takes you up to Me Talk Pretty one day, but he has a whole nother successful round of books.
So this is all the stuff behind the books.
Including him being a poor art student. There's a lot of stuff early on where he's like, well, I have $4 left to my name, so it looks like it'll be right
Macaroni and cheese better
So
be
these
on
are
sale.
so is this the real diary?
He took
Or
his
did he
real diaries
edit it?
and edited it down
Okay.
because he said I don't have the actual number, but he said the actual number of pages that it would have been is in the thousands. And the copy, at least that I read, was 400. The audiobook version is 13 hours plus, which I almost wish I had because I would love to have him talk to me in his little fabulous way.
Paul loves. I still try. I've tried audiobooks. I should probably try it again because I
If you put one in
love
the
talk
car.
radio. I sometimes find that the narrator of the book can put you to sleep.
Well, that's why I like to do celebrity memoir because
And
then you know what you're
you
getting.
recommended, I think Tina Fey narrated
Bossy
her own
Pants.
Bossy Pants.
Amazing.
And you said that was a must listen because it was her reading the book. And does David do his
He
own?
does all his, and I just finished Taraji P. Henson's book, Round the Way Girl. It's as cookie-licious as you could want. Yes. Oh, God, y'all. Taraji, my good friend, call me, honey. We going to do drinks.
Now, do you think either of you could have kept a diary?
I wish I had. I had.
But do you think you could have and then been able to?
I'm not disciplined like that.
I have periods in my life where
There's
I
people
have.
you've met where you wish you had written it down or you wish
I will
you
tell you
remembered their name.
that Tim keeps a diary.
Ooh.
But he keeps a diary in a way that I think that I do too, and that is the following. There are events and things that have happened in his corporate life that are now stories.
Okay.
They're real things. They happen.
My box.
But Tim, yeah, exactly. But and that
box is hot.
My box is fresh.
My box is white. My box is clean.
My box will make you money. Yeah, my box. And that was
my box.
So when Tim tells a story like that, when he tells the My Box story, he ends up unpacking all these other stories that are all connected because that whole time period you could actually start going down.
Yeah.
The director of marketing who's over here, So I think we all keep diaries of a sense, right? All these stories and
It'd be great
memories.
if you did write things down because there are characters you meet along the way that for whatever reason you bumped
Incidents,
into,
yeah.
you're traveling somewhere.
Well, he seemed
And
so
if-
incandescent at the time, and
Yeah.
you're like, I'll never forget so-and-so.
Yeah.
And then a
You
few
do.
years later, you do. But yeah, I have yet to go back. I have a series of about 6 bound journals that I kept throughout high school and college on and off, and I'm almost afraid to go back and look, but one day I will.
But there's also, you also wrote a book.
I did, and I'm working my way through transcribing those.
And
Ooh.
you had a whole routine. There was a shop on, I want to say it was 20.
It sadly has
Closed.
closed.
This was
but
a place you would go.
We moved up to, I think, the east side now.
You and I had lunch there once.
We did, Spoon, yeah.
Spoon, and you would go and you hand wrote
As quickly as possible.
and you got through it, and you had this whole routine. You'd go there, you'd have coffee, you'd write for an hour or two, then you'd go to work, or you'd do that before or after, and then the plan was to transcribe. And I think that is such a brutal.
Well, essentially, I am as an editor, I am an aggressive editor, and so I'm trying to be just as honest with my own work. And so if something, in the moment, it had to come out like improv. It just had to come out the best it could be. I felt the emotion. I was kind of like inside scene work. I would sit there crying while I was eating my lunch. And then going back, I'm like, well, those pages are utterly
Were they real? Honestly, when you went back as an editor and you looked at what you had done from a fiction point of view, you really were like, no.
Well, what you find is when you go back, you start to see the patterns, and what you're trying to reinforce as an editor are the patterns that will give you payoff and have meaning. And as I was writing the book, I kind of knew where it was going, but I didn't 100% know. Now knowing where things end up, what I want to do is provide for the reader an experience that's as magical and great as it was for me being inside it. But that me inside it was producing, like, I was emoting, I was like sweating words into the air. And now to deliver it, you want it like mainline for the reader. You want it really good.
I don't know how you do it all. Are you still doing you did for the last 4 or 5 years 30 plays in 30 days?
I'm about to do 31 plays in 31 days again, if I can. It's going to be tough. But the goal is this year, because I've been doing musical theater mashup, which is where every week
talk about in
I
a second.
sing a song, a verse and a chorus of a Broadway show, and usually a big finish. And I get dressed up in all kinds of drag, and it made me think, okay, well, what if this year, every year I give myself myself a challenge or a theme for 31 plays. And I thought this year what I would do is try to write monologues that those characters would want to say once I bother, on a Saturday morning to get all done up in a scarf and a eyeliner and a whole bit. And then ultimately construct an evening of cabaret out of like songs and monologues that match well together. Now, whether I can manage all that.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. But see, that's the.
And then we'll have lunch.
Yeah, and that's the success part. So I just started the last class of my animation schooling, and one thing I've learned over the past year and a half is prep and foundation are not to be skipped. So 31 plays in 31 days. If you had a framework idea, you almost have to have that, right?
Absolutely. Well, I try
but to come to that realization. I don't know how many people like 31 days, but to have an actual scaffolding to say, if I hang it off this, I can probably come up with 31
ideas.
Well, and what I do is I don't write anything in advance because that's part of the challenge, but I will actually over the course of the year, especially once I've figured out my theme, start writing down ideas. So I already have a list of probably like 35 ideas, just a line, just like I'll play about this, I'll play about that.
I can inform the world that's watching and all Paul Hagen fans that the well ain't running dry. Well, this is a Texas gusher that's going to go for months and years and years. I mean, from when I met you years ago till now, you are just prolific with ideas.
Well, and I what I do too that I think is great help to me as a person who's interested in continuing to like have art pouring out of every hole is when I find a concept. So like mashup is a good idea.
So musical theater mashup. We pulled some. I don't know if maybe when you're talking they'll just run. So
oh my goodness!
But we pulled a couple clips. I don't know if we pulled the popular ones or.
Well, and it almost doesn't matter because there are ones that are popular within the Facebook group because.
So what is? Have I seen? What is the musical mashup?
So they were and on the slide we should have some there. We'll see if we can.
Oh yeah, that's
one here.
Take Me Back to Manhattan. The more I sail the sea.
Is that Lady Gaga?
That's Miss Paul Hagen right here for your enjoyment. Got my dresser so clean.
Yes, and then that innocuous map of the world. I love surroundings. There's a map of the world hanging up there.
And luggage.
So what is this from?
So my friend, the song is Cole Porter from Anything Goes, but my friend Carly Stocking, wonderful friend who I met through the piano bar scene, my love of Monster and Duplex, she started this group where musical theater people could...
And then you switch in olden days, a glimpse of Stocking was looked on as a...
I do break out choreography. Oh my two ladies from Cabaret. Oh, you die. But the idea is every week she puts out a challenge along a theme, and then we try to rise to it. And I like to create a character, and sometimes I'll embroider with some improv.
There's
we pulled 4 or 5 clips, so we can pull up some other ones as you're talking. But so this is not as you have your own YouTube.
Yes. So
what is it for the listeners?
For anyone who wants to watch it on YouTube, it's youtube.com/write4you, WRITE.
Write for you.
Oh my God.
And you can just search, like Paul Hagen, Take Me Back to Manhattan, something like that. Or you can search on Facebook for Musical Theater Mashup. I've always wanted to play Miss Adelaide in Guys and Dolls, and I have played nicely, but what's so great is you get the chance to play all these dream roles that you wouldn't necessarily get to otherwise. And, I like a little choreography, so in the course of this, it's a strip number. It's take back your mink, take back your pearls, so you will see me
Is this why you've been engaged for going on 2 years?
Well, it's true. I guess
poor Justin.
I guess I could spend those Saturday mornings making wedding plans.
All right, this is from, what is this from?
It's from Guys and Dolls. It's Take Back Your Mink.
And was that a movie? And is she like in like a changing thing or a shower?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Like it's the gimmick is it's her and all her hot box chickies and built into the Built
And meanwhile, on the wall in the background is a map of the world.
Oh, anyone who watches enough of them, you go to my YouTube. I think I counted 62 I've done so far, which is insane. And then also it makes you look for other opportunities to do it. So when our good friend Mary Tyler Moore passed, I was like, okay, well now I know things about how the camera works and how I could sit.
So you set the camera up yourself.
I set the camera up, I do lighting, I do makeup, hair. I've found a lot of ways to repurpose the same wigs, including just turning them around.
So what is this from?
This is the lusty month of May from Camelot. So I'm very royal. I try not to overuse the tiara. I think I have 3
Are you
tiaras
singing
here.
or the?
I'm singing. Yeah, of course. I
Turn it up.
Bring them to my key.
Everywhere. Don't you know it's that dear forbidden fruit? Tra la 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 la. That dear forbidden fruit. Tra la 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 la.
I found a gimmick, so of course I have to beat it to
La
death.
la 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 la. Tra la. Tra la.
I love the Barbie tiara.
Thank you. Well, I was very proud of myself this week. I figured out a way to perch it jauntily.
Next time you visit us, we want you in one of these outfits.
Oh, well, there you go.
I wonder if my mind's spinning here. I wonder if you invite Tim.
Oh, that was the jaunty tiara. That's me being Queen Agravain from Once Upon a Mattress singing Sensitivity, which is so wish fulfillment-y because in high school I was the wizard. I was her sidekick, so I just followed her around while she got the big monologue, which is a thing, and this song, which is wonderful. Of course, I'm doing shortened versions, so they're nice.
All right,
You look like Jambi from Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, it's
Mecca lecca hi,
Mecca hiney ho, Mecca shiny ho, whatever the wish is granted. Long live Jambi.
People will say, I had a penis at Monster say, what if you did a show where people came and they didn't know which of these women you would be that night? And someone actually just pulled me aside last night. He's like, what are you doing not having an agent? And I'm like, you're so kind. Do you know anyone?
What are you doing not having an agent? I'll use a free agent right now.
That's me.
Jeez.
Oh, that's
Santa Claus?
That was probably my favorite amongst the group. I did Godspell, and there's a song called We Beseech Thee, and I did
know
this
this
song, but it's very hippity boop boop boop, so I decided to church it out. And someone, I think, very aptly described it as Bella Abzug as styled by Pedro Almodovar.
Yes. Bella Abzug as styled by Pedro Almodovar. Is that what
That's well. I was just looking for. Well, that's actually a tree skirt, which I literally turned into a skirt, and a hat I hand decorated.
All right.
You see a lot of church.
I am. The lights are going off in my head.
There's not much more to say.
I've left Tim Bennett speechless.
So I was gonna just say to you, oh my God, look at all the time you spend on this. But I get it because I put about 20 hours a week into my animation homework. But the difference is you're probably sitting at work. You're like, ooh. I'm going to pick up those white sunglasses. I'm going to do Shirley Temple.
And what's great, too, is because, you go through your life, and if you're like me, you're pack ratting away stuff. So I rarely, every once in a while, I'll purchase a hat. I purchased the sailor's hat for Anything Goes. But most of it is old makeup, old costume pieces, furniture hanging around my own apartment.
Well, on the first two, I don't have I have no old makeup, and I have no.
Yeah, we'd have a tough time, I think.
You what?
We'd have a tough time putting
You'd be
costumes
surprised what you can do with safety pins and old blankets.
I would love to see Tim do a musical mashup.
Yes.
What do you think? What musical do you think he'd take a song?
Grease.
I would. Oh, you could do Grease. I would love to see you do anything.
'cause I need
from
you,
South
babe.
Pacific, one of the big manly songs.
I was singing South Pacific.
Bloody
Yeah.
Mary is the girl I love.
And they're all such queens. You're like, the
And, yes, a sailor suit does something to a fella. Well, Fleet Week. Oh God. Can't
you
come
steal
back
your beating
around.
heart, and the aircraft carriers are sailing in now. Some of the other countries have good uniforms, though, for their
It's
for their
true.
navies. They do. That's
The best military uniforms, I think, are India.
Really? What are they like?
Look them on the YouTube.
Ooh.
India Republic Day. The outfits are unbelievable. The
Is it
military
specifically
outfits.
the Navy or just
All of
any
them.
branch of it?
They, for whatever reason, they're the most. I don't. Flamboyant's not the right word, but colorful and just unbelievable.
Because I'm particularly interested in semen.
But I'm and then we switch.
That's
Oh, hey,
Paul Hagen.
time's a thief. All right, so Paul. Oh, look, John found. Are these the uniforms you're talking about?
Yeah, well, that's one of the Indian. Those are the Gurkhas, I think. But the Indian uniforms, I really do think are the best, and the marching is hilarious. But,
Thank you, John, and thank you, Garrett. Oh my God,
the color! I love the color.
colors. They wear these.
Look at these guys
things.
to find like a picture, like screaming, she's mouth open. All right, so you have to come back on.
I'm right around the corner.
And I think you need to be a regular. Once again, we need to kick up the
culture and pop.
Yes, we have lots of pop and
putting the
culture.
culture back in pop culture. That's what
I get it right.
Yeah,
The pop.
but that's
do a new one.
Honey,
Well,
that's the charm.
Now you guys are what? All the fun, all business except when we're not.
We're all business except when we're
And then
not.
Holiday Inn someone stole our line.
Oh,
Holiday Inn did.
It's Holiday Inn.
How
Wyndham
dare
or
they.
something. We're all business mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah, that's
our line.
That's our line. They just
Like
shipped.
when Morning Joe stole all our music when we were at Sirius XM because the producer listened to the show.
And they would steal our bits.
What he
too.
heard Saturday, they'd hear Monday.
It hit. What caught your eye, Mika? We're like, Tim and I are like, what? I mean, we know that everybody does something like that, but it was eerie that we would launch it, and then like a week later, Mika and Joe are catching there. What caught your eye?
Johnny, you're a trendsetter. That's what you are. You can't help it.
And now I'm puzzling over a musical mashup for Tim.
Yeah.
You have to do it too.
Oh,
And it can't be science fiction.
No, it can't be because there's
You could do Rocky Horror.
Oh,
in fact, I feel like that's a natural
Is that
fit
a
for you.
Frankfurter? Or would I be more like the Brad character?
Maybe
Brad.
one of the aliens at the end, perhaps the final.
That's where the movie went out. The movie went south after the Meatloaf.
Off the rails, yeah. A wee bit.
It went south after. I mean, it was
Meatloaf
probably
number.
off
Up to the
rails
Meatloaf
before
number
that.
was good. Then
I remember seeing that down at the Waverly, which is no longer. It's a movie complex now. But
The IFC. I
people used to
believe.
bring. Yeah, it is the IFC theater.
We changed the lyric when we sing the song.
People
about
used
it.
to bring toast,
Yeah,
water,
toilet paper.
the whole thing.
Rice.
all those toilet paper.
And it was a midnight show, and it was a whole.
I was a Rocky
Virgin.
Horror super virgin. Mhm.
Well, Paul, thanks for joining us.
So good to be back.
You can sign up for Metroespresso at
metrosource.com/subscribe. And remember to click on the froth so you can see our fun little celebrity moments, hopefully soon featuring these handsome boys.
Click on the froth.
And my own little homemade, I did an investigation into whether the new Stonewall is the same as the old Stonewall for our most recent one. You can find that at metrosource.com. Click on lifestyle. I think it's at the top of the list. Pop quiz. Is Stonewall really Stonewall?
Metroespresso. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tim. Great show. Thank you to Deep Discount, our partner here. Go to the site-wide sale ends on Friday. It's June 30th. It's the June site-wide sale. Lots of discounts. And a big, big thank you to Volkswagen Group of America, who've been our partner here for almost 8 years. We're driving the all-track wagon. The car they're really pushing now, advertising-wise, though, is the Atlas. Handsome-looking car. And next up,
Tiguan.
All right, everybody, have a great week. And as Tim likes to say, and I thoroughly agree, having been behind a number of cars like this, do not text and drive. LOL is not something you want to get killed for. You know what I mean? Like LOL sent.
Amen.
Have a great week.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on Sirius XM Satellite Radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.